Activist in Durban has begun an initiative on Township Rejuvenation. Simo Nzama is the founder and the chairperson of the Simo Possibilities Foundation. Part of the Simo Possibilities social projects includes ex-convicts in reintegration programs, youth development programs. Nzama has changed the mindsets of many by converting COVID-19 to Conquered-19. We're now joined by Simo Nzama via Zoom. Thanks so very much, Simo, for joining us here on SABC News, sir.
Greetings, Flo. Hope you're good.
Yeah. Talk to us about your NPO, and interestingly, the title as well. You used your name and converted it to See More, which I thought was quite interesting as well. But just in general, talk to us about the project as a whole.
All right. The See More Possibilities is about helping people to look at things differently, right? We are caught up in a situation whereby we are confused by a number of things. It could be COVID, it could be poverty and so forth. But we at the Simo Possibilities, we are a firm believer that you are what you eat, you are what you see. It's always important to look at the world differently. If you decide to see possibilities, it's easy for you to attract such. Yes, we understand that there's a lot that is going on right now, but it's entirely all up to you, right? And what we do, we promote something called social entrepreneurship. We also promote social intelligence, the way of thinking. Yes, we understand that in life, there's something called emotional intelligence, which has to do with responding to different situations in different ways. And that is why we are saying, let's react differently to what is happening. Like right now, we are in COVID-19. We understand, and it's not easy for everyone. Either businesses and so forth. But we have decided to look at COVID differently. We are now saying that it's no longer COVID-19, but it is Conquered-19, because we have conquered. For the mere fact that we are still alive, our heads are still in its place. It means we can always think. So that is what we are trying to promote, especially in the townships, because that's where you find people. Like right now, there's so much activity in the population, like in the space. People are going to a number of places. They want to quench the thirst and so forth. But in the midst of whatever that is happening, we are saying think, because obviously the holidays will come to an end. What is that you're going to come out with after the holiday? Do you understand? Yeah. We need to choose the things that we discuss when we are gathering, like during holidays and so forth.
Yeah. Mr. Nzama, I mean, it's you talk about seeing things differently, but I must say it must be very difficult for people to stay positive, particularly as we're, in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, people are losing loved ones. Yes, we might still be here, but, some have lost loved ones, some have lost jobs, some have lost work and so forth. So it's very difficult to indeed stay positive. As you say, in the intro, part of what we said was that you're changing the mindsets of many. How do you manage to do that, particularly at a time like this that we're in?
All right. I understand that most families have lost their loved ones, and it's true. We are going through the most, and we would like to share condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones. And such is life, but it's always imperative to keep our eyes on the ball. Yes, somehow we will lose people that we love, but that doesn't mean that the world is coming to an end. And that is why we are trying our level best to encourage people to see beyond crisis, see beyond the challenges, see beyond poverty. So it's imperative to look at life differently. That's what we are promoting. It's not easy, we understand. But there is something that I would like to share with the viewers right now. We do not have to let the good crisis go to waste. Let me repeat. We do not have to let the good crisis go to waste. Right now, it's not easy. I understand. If you read news, if you read books, if you read, if you go into the internet, there are guys like Jeff Bezos. They started their businesses in the midst of chaos. And there was something called Great Depression, but their businesses, they stood up. which means you can start something right now in the midst of chaos. Let me make a practical example. Right now I'm talking to you. This opportunity is big for me.
Yeah.
But look, I don't have a studio. I'm not on studio. I'm using my car, which means you can always use what we have to get what you don't have. That's the mindset that we need. You know, sometimes the so-called hardship, it's not there to kill you. It's not going to kill us all. But what we need to do is to think beyond, look for the gaps and identify opportunities. Then we can be able to survive thereafter.
Yeah. What I was particularly interested in is, the social programs or projects that you do, and the fact that you are including ex-convicts in terms of reintegration programs and youth development programs, which is something that I'm particularly happy about to hear that it's being done. A lot of the time, people who have been in prison kind of continue in this cycle and go back to a life of crime, particularly given the fact that even those that do want to change, they don't find the opportunities, and people don't want to, let's say, hire an ex-convict. It's one thing that you're changing, let's say, the mindsets of the people that come to you and are part of the program, but it's also a community effort, isn't it? You then have to involve many others in your quest to achieve what you want to do. For example, you'd have to get people wanting to work with ex-convicts in the community. And I wonder how you are integrating, these ex-convicts, as an example that was given to me here, into the communities, and how you're able to change the minds in a way of people that aren't even part of your program, but are part of the, let's say, the wider community.
All right, Flo, let me start with the ex-convicts, because that part is the most important part.
Yeah.
And you said something that was so important, the community. It is always important to make sure that communities play a major role in terms of supporting the ex-convicts. Remember, they are also human beings. Yes, we understand that they've been through a number of things, but, we should not judge. We are also human beings and we are entitled to make mistakes. But when we come back and when we are saying, yeah, it's over and done with, the responsibility for the community is to support that particular individual. So this is what we do. We get invited by the correctional services. We see them once a month, which means we become the first contact. And this is how we help the ex-convicts. We listen to them more than talking, because that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we practice. Most of the people, they speak, and when they speak to people, they do something called top-down approach. But when you deal with people that are going through the most, you listen so that you can understand. And then when you understand, it's easy for you to design something called solutions. Then with regards to the ex-convicts, you'll find that those people, they are so talented, they are so gifted. And the time that they spend in prison, it rehabilitates them. Therefore, what we do, we make sure that we tell them that, listen, whatever that you are looking for, it is within. Sometimes people make mistake. When they come out of the prison, they prepare CVs. They want to add all of the certificates that they acquire from the prison. And then they tend to forget that the criminal record is still there. Therefore, our approach simply says, hold on, let's tap into your perfect spot. Tell us about your gift. Tell us about your strength. Because you'll find that some other prisoners, when they're inside the prison, they sing, they're in groups, they do a whole lot of activities, they do visual arts and so forth. But when they come out, they forget about that. They want to become something different than what they were doing while they were in prison. Yeah. Our role is to remind them of who they are and who they were when they were in prison. We focus more into their gift, and then we channel their gift. Like right now, we have a guy that stays in the place called Mapumulo. He could not believe that he could make a living out of singing. And right now he shared the news that, listen, guys, thank you very much for sharing that information. Now he's part of Imputuzego Skills and Development, which means there's a Maskandi concert that goes on in KZN. It's big. So when you get into the platform, it says you are out there. Therefore, I'm pleading to all the departments that when we introduce people that are coming from prison, let's pay more attention into their talents and their gift, not what they did. Because Even ourselves, we can get into prison. It could be tomorrow or the day after. No one is perfect. We all make mistakes, right? I would like to talk about some of the guys that we were mentoring. We have something called Coffee with Simo and something called Insightful Tour with Simo. What we do is we invite people to come and share a cup of coffee with us. And we understand that most of the people that are confused right now, even the so-called graduates, they come out of universities expecting life to be posh, to be free-flowing, not knowing that there are so many predicaments when you come out of this world. Therefore, we channel their energies. Not so long ago, we've dealt with a lady called Naledi Zondi, who is a visual artist. I remember when we sat down with her and we were having coffee, and then the lady was saying, "But Simo, that is what they call me. I am Uputi, and they call me Uputi like that." And then she was like, "Okay, I have a degree, and at home they bought me a car, but now I'm a little bit scared to ask for petrol money because I can't find job." And then we sat down and I said, "Let's look at your strengths." And then later, towards the end of our conversation, she said something that was so important. She said, "I do visual art, but I wouldn't like to I wouldn't like to share that with my parents because they don't like the idea that I am now doing the visual art." So that's the mistake that we do as parents. We don't believe in the gift. It's easy for us to talk about the gift when we're in church, when we talk about Joseph. You remember Joseph when he had a dream. You remember what happened to the family, the brothers and so forth. They wanted to kill him for his dream. Therefore, it's easy for us to talk about the dreams when we're in church, but when we deal with our little ones, we don't allow them to be who they are.
Yeah, no, that's correct. All right, thank you so very much for that input and interesting conversation indeed. Thanks for giving us your time.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome and all the best in whatever you...
Thanks so much. All right, that is Simo there. Of course, doing some youth initiatives, very important work that Simo Nzama is doing there. Joins us via Skype. He is, of course, running a youth program, development program called the See More Possibilities social project. So if you can support, please do so. All right.